Minnesota in the white jerseys, Stanford in the dark. Free ball here for Minnesota. Lindsay Tages, one of 2 setters that Minnesota will employ, and they get the first points of the match.
Mike Hebert told me before the match that he actually isn't nervous playing for a first national championship at Minnesota. Said the pressure was in the regional final in getting here. Now I'm relaxed and just enjoying it.
Zhenshu with the serve. Namani with her first big swing.
Namani coming off that 2004 Olympic appearance in Athens. Said in the beginning of the year it was tough emotionally to make that transition from international volleyball, but now just feels very comfortable out on the court.
That one misses wide, and the Cardinal will take the early 2-1 lead. There is Ogana Namani. She and Stacey Gordon at Ohio State, the co-national players of the year. Ogana, a bio major, would like to be a doctor after her volleyball playing days are over. That may not be for a while, though. She has a very bright future with USA Volleyball.
Clear-cut favorite for that 2018 in Beijing.
The serve from Tages. Bryn Kehoe, the freshman setter for Stanford. This is Erin Martin off the fingertips. Kehoe looking for Namani. Down the line, avoids the double block.
Interesting matchup, Beth, because you've got Stanford, 5-time national champion, against a team that's never played for one, yet Minnesota, the more experienced team. 6 seniors on the squad. You saw there Bryn Kehoe, the setter for Stanford, a true freshman.
Big swing from Minnesota, and Meredith Nelson gets the kill, the sophomore, who was slowed a little bit by an ankle injury in the semifinal. And now Marcy Pinata is on to serve, a sophomore from Plymouth, Minnesota.
Otherwise known as Peanut.
Stanford, Namani hit the net on that one, so a point for Minnesota. Both these teams were runners-up in the regular season. Minnesota in the Big Ten to Penn State. Stanford finished second to Washington, but they have been the hottest 2 teams coming into the postseason. And the block is up for Tricia Bradford. And Stanford again into the net. There is Tree from Reseda, California, up in the valley.
And Pinata off to a great start for Minnesota. This is the rotation that Mike Hebert wanted to start in because Marcy Pinata is so good from the end line, serving those great, tough jump floats.
The back set. Suter had it blocked. Now Kehoe will go back to the outside, and Namani with the cut cross court for the kill. That's her 3rd here in the early going. The senior from Normal, Illinois, 7th all-time in career kills in NCAA history. The tip from Minnesota. Stanford's defense is there. The back set to Huckey.
Beth, I think Jen Huckey is the X factor in this match. A huge plus for Stanford fans that she's starting on such a tear. Playing with a sore shoulder, injured it Thursday in the morning before their national semifinal win.
Another chance here for Stanford. Kehoe tracks it down, goes to Kristen Richards. And Richards and Huckey scoring early for the Cardinal. It's best 3 of 5 to win the match. Rally scoring, so there is a point on every serve. The games are to 30 unless we go to a game 5, and then it's first to 15, and you have to win the games by 2. Bradford blocked by Suter.
We talked about Minnesota needing that team effort. Well, right now, Stanford's the one getting it. All the extra pieces, the role players really stepping up, including the sophomore Lizzie Suter.
Yeah, Namani carried them through the first 2 games of their semi, and then the rest of the team showed up for games 3 and 4. And helped with the load. Richards back row, dug up by Paula Zhenshu, the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. There she is with the bump. Nelson sliding behind. Kehoe's gonna look to Namani out of the back row. Good defense by Tages. And now it's a free ball for the Cardinal. Jen Huckey.
Back row. At no time can a player touch that white line. You see the line that crosses across the court. It's called a 3-meter line or 10-foot line. There it is for Minnesota. At no time can you step on that line if you're a back row player trying to attack.
service error on the serve from Namani. 8-7 Stanford here in game 1, which has been a good barometer for the Cardinal this year. They have not lost a match when they have won the opening game. 23-0, including their semifinal win. Oh, what an athletic tip by Namani.
You talk about the importance of winning game 1 for Stanford. I think it's because this is a team that thrives on emotion and confidence. This is a team that will flat out tell you we weren't very good at the beginning of the year. They didn't think they'd be above 500. Now playing for a national championship because of the confidence gained. They've now won 14 matches in a row.
And an encouraging point right there, the kill for Kelly Bowman, who was disappointed in her performance in the semis, looking to have a much bigger impact here today in the final. Richards rejected. Jessie Jones with the block up.
Can't say enough about what Jessie Jones has done for Minnesota over the last 3 days. She's a starting freshman in the middle, started her first career match in the semifinal win against USC, and I think was the difference out there.
That's not too much pressure coming in the semis.
Well, it's funny, Mike Hebert said to her yesterday, "How you doing, Jessie?" She said, "Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I'll deal with it on Sunday." Good to be, you know, they say freshmen are just young and blind.
Bowman, the back set to Tejas. And Jones jumps on the overpass.
I talked to Mike Hebert before the match and I said that was one of the gutsiest, riskiest moves we've seen in a long time in national semifinal history, starting a freshman for the first time ever. And he said all season long, I told her, just be patient. There will be a moment for you. Couldn't have come at a better time.
Back row, Namani gets that one down. It was her freshman year that John Dunning was at Stanford in his first season after coming over from the University of Pacific. And together they combined to win that 2001 national championship, their most recent of 5 NCAA titles. That's the most in NCAA tournament history.
Take a look at that tie. It's got some significance. The lucky tie bought by his wife, Julie, for his birthday on November 6th. John has worn it for every match since then, part of that 14-match win streak. It's funny, Julie said to me that he only packed one tie, knew he was going to wear it the entire time, but he didn't have a shirt to go with it. There's Julie Dunning helping him out with his wardrobe. Doesn't think the shirt goes with the tie, but you got to go with the lucky ensemble.
Yeah, Stanford has been sticking with a lot of superstitions over the course of that 14-match win streak. Lizzie Suter hasn't changed the bow in her hair, and Francie Gerard's knee pads are out walking around by themselves. They haven't been washed since their last loss.
For you volleyball players out there, you know you want to wash them after every match, every practice. They can take on a life of their own.
It's a 14-match win streak dating back to Halloween. And not only have they won 14 matches in a row, they've only lost 7 games total over that stretch. Free ball here for Minnesota. Zhenshu with the pass to Tejas. Bowman attacking in the middle. She's already got more kills today than she had the entire semifinal match.
And that was a concern coming in. She'd just been named first-team All-American, went to play SC on Thursday and was flat out nervous. She was flat, didn't play her typical style, but Coach Hebert said she's had bad matches before and she can bounce back. She's got sort of the memory of a free safety. You've got to have a very short memory.
Big week for her, not only here at the National Championship match, but All-American honor for the first time in her career as Ogana Namani, with 4 All-America honors, has 6 kills now in the game. She had 33 in the semifinal win. Namani again out of the back row. Zhenshu digs it up. Bowman puts it into the net. Two-point lead for the Cardinal. She was the regional MVP in helping get Minnesota back to its 2nd appearance in the national semis, and now the first trip to the final. There's Ted Tejas.
Just a great story. Plays, as you heard Lindsay say, for the Northwestern basketball team in St. Paul, Minneapolis. His coach actually gave him permission to miss the game last night against, let's see, Grandview in Ames, Iowa. They ended up losing by 10. They could have used Teddy, but the coach actually said, hey, you need to see your wife compete for a national championship, and gave him a bit of a hall pass.
once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He's already chewing on the nails. He can't watch right now. It's worse for him than it is for Lindsay.
Known each other since elementary school, since kindergarten was their first meeting.
The block is there from Richards, as well as Lizzie Suter. A couple of sophomores. Richards out of Orem, Utah. Just down the road from Salt Lake City, where, of course, Logan Tom hails from, their former All-American and Olympian out of Stanford. This is a program rich in tradition. They're on a 5-0 run right now.
Unbelievable history, and you look at it, I mean, it's all come in the 90s and in the last couple of years. Don Shaw, of course, won 4 of those national titles. John Dunning won in his first year, ironically, both at Pacific in '85 and at Stanford in '01.
This is the 4th appearance in the championship match in the last 6 years for Stanford. And this championship, by the way, closes out the NCAA fall championship season. 22 different championships handed out in NCAA competition, including a couple of football championships this weekend, both won by teams winning their first national championship, so perhaps a sign for Minnesota.
We're certainly hoping that James Madison provides a little inspiration, winning in the 1AA last night.
Linfield, a Division III winner out of Oregon for the first time earlier today here on the ESPN family of networks. Richards swooping in. Zhenshu got a piece of it to keep it alive. Back row from Bradford. Here comes the Cardinal attack. They go back to Richards, and she beats the block.
Talk about the rich tradition at Stanford. Players like Logan Tom, Ogana Namani, Carrie Wendell, and there's Carrie Walsh right there in the middle of your screen. 2004 Olympian, won a gold medal with Misty May. In fact, we'll be talking to the two of them in between the second and third game.
Off the block for a point for Minnesota. They were the Golden Girls of the Olympics in Athens, winning out on the beach. A lot of these young players that you talk to hope to either play on the indoor team or play on the beach after their collegiate careers are done. Oh, big block. 3 Golden Gophers up to reject Richards on that one.
And that was the key for Minnesota in the semifinal win against USC. 17 team blocks. They're great putting up the triple block, something you see more in men's volleyball than in women's.
Martin, that one didn't make it over. Paula Zhenshu, number 15 for Minnesota, with that different colored jersey. What coverage she has. Gets a piece of it with a wrist, a finger, an elbow, anything to keep it up in the air.
Yeah, that libero wearing that separate jersey, meaning that she can enter the game without counting as a substitution. It's in for ball control and defense, and this year for the first time is allowed to serve. Paula Zhenshu, a first-team All-American, the first time this year that a libero has been named to that All-American team.
And in years to come, coaches will put her up and hold her as the standard bearer for that position that they want their players in the next generation to be like in that position.
Boy, Minnesota making some uncharacteristic errors. They're playing like a team that's never been here before. And Mike Hebert, who's really studies the psychology of sport, you know, he's one of those coaches that wasn't a player as much as a teacher, and certainly trying to figure out how to get his team to play its style.
Martin blocked by Kehoe. The freshman setter was up there next to Suter.
Bryn Kehoe, the opportunity to become the first setter as a true freshman in the 5-1 offense to win a national championship. Great one-on-one block against Martin.
She is off to a terrific start, not showing any nerves for the rookie out of North Bend, Ohio. Namani with the solo block. Bryn, quick set in the middle for Suter, finds the corner, and Stanford has come out hot. Timeout, Minnesota. The Cardinal looking for their first championship since that 2001 title. And let's Let's take a look back at the 2001 championship team that John Dunning coached and Ogana Namani was a player on alongside Logan Tom.
Ogana Namani, just a freshman. Logan Tom leading the way. Carrie Walsh also on a team full of All-Americans. Sarah McGee, Jen Harvey, just a great group. Robin Lewis as a setter with Carrie Walsh, just a 2001 team, getting their 5th championship. There's Carrie Walsh, bombarded, no surprise, poor thing. Ever since she came back from Athens in the end of August, she has been the it girl.
I think she's trying to flag down the popcorn guy. Carrie, what a team. How did they ever lose a game with 3 Olympians on that 2001 club?
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. And she's just gone on to continue in volleyball excellence, has made a name for herself. Look at this. She doesn't even know she's on TV. You know what her nickname was in Athens? They called her 6 feet of sunshine. That's what her boyfriend, Casey Jennings, called her. And it is so true. Just never a bad day in Carrie Walsh's world.
And we will hear from Carrie and Misty May coming up later on. Right now, the Cardinal in control, 24-18. This is the best that we have seen them play this weekend. The stretch that they've gone on here to start out the match. Richards got a piece of it. Off of Suter's head, kept alive by Stanford. Kelly Bowman. And the slide behind from Meredith Nelson.
She's definitely somebody we need to keep our eye on. Sprained that left ankle against USC, had it retaped. Came out and continued to perform, but Mike Hebert did say she's lost a little bit of that explosiveness. If she can't put up the numbers that they need, they've got a player in Jessica Burns that can come in off the bench.
Nelson passed up on scholarships from other colleges to play at Minnesota.
In fact, one of those other colleges, actually Stanford, offering her a full ride. Her recruiting trip, she actually went to Minnesota when Stanford was in town playing. Stanford won, but Meredith's so impressed with Minnesota's chemistry and just how close their team was that she chose to walk on at Minnesota rather than taking a scholarship at Stanford.
Another player ended up not taking a scholarship, so Meredith was able to get the scholarship and start out her career. She had that last kill, now trying to block Namani, and Ogana beats her to it.
Ogana off to a nearly flawless start. 9 kills now, no hitting errors. Hitting well over 600. You know, most mortals like to hit over about 300 if they're having a great match.
It's a number similar to baseball, isn't it? If you're hitting over 300, you're pretty good, so 600.
Exactly. Keep going for a World Series if you're hitting over 600. There she is, 571.
Now serving it up. Nelson blocked by Suter in the middle. Now it's Tree Bradford cross court and got that one down.
Tree Bradford, another player on a sore ankle, sprained it against Long Island in the first round of the NCAA championships.
We talked about Stanford's 14-game match win streak. It's 12 in a row for Minnesota on their late season run.
Really any coach wants. At the beginning in August, during 2-a-days, during fall camp, the goal is to playing your best volleyball in November. It's not like college football where one loss and you're pretty much out of the national championship picture. These teams are doing everything they can to peak late November, early December to be playing their best come tournament time.
It's the 2nd year in a row that Minnesota has been in the semis of their first trip to the final. There's a good block for the Golden Gophers. They were run out of town last year by USC, a bit overwhelmed, and the word they used when we talked to the players was we were in awe of the surroundings, and that's not the case with this year's club.
This year they truly believe that they deserve to be here, and it showed by upsetting the 2-time defending national champs. USC trying to go for a piece of history, become the first team to win 3 in a row. Instead, Minnesota's here.
Game point now for the Cardinal. Bowman, contagious block by Richards. Stanford 23-0 on the season when they win game 1, and they take the opener in the national championship match.
On the flip side, I think if any team can make the adjustments it needs to, it's Mike Hebert's Minnesota squad. He's a great tactician, really loves the strategy and the philosophy. The key is, how do you stop Ogunanamani? 8 kills, no errors. Interestingly, Coach Hebert said the key is to think that we have a plan against Oguna and to make Oguna think that we have one. But honestly, we can't waste so much time worrying about her because she's going to hit right over us anyway. We need to stop everybody else.
And there she did, right over the top of Jessie Jones, who's 6'3". But it doesn't matter with Namani. Bowman looking for Jones. Blocked out. One blocker is getting the job done for Stanford so far. Well, for a complete wrap-up of the 2004 Fall NCAA Championships, including men's and women's soccer and men's water polo, visit NCAAsports.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships.
Boy, and a tough start for Erin Martin, who has really become Minnesota's go-to player now. 3 hitting errors. She's got to find a way to score.
And if you check out NCAAsports.com, the most recent championship would be to Linfield of Oregon for the D3 football title earlier today. Erin Martin. The block got a piece of it, but the Cardinal able to keep it in play. The tip from Tejas. Now a chance for Stanford Namani. She takes a little bit off. The pancake dig by Zheng Shu and gets Minnesota the point.
When it's plays like that that can immediately turn momentum. Zheng Shu, one of the best libros in the country, picks up the pancake. Watch the palm. Anytime it touches any part of your body and not the floor, you're good to go.
Free ball here for Minnesota. Bowman. The middle attack by Lindsay Tejas in her first year as a hitter in this 6-2 offense.
This spring, Mike Hebert said, hey, you might want to work on your hitting. We might implement a 6-2. She'd never hit before. It wasn't until then that they learned she's a goofy footer, meaning she uses the wrong steps on her approach. It's backwards.
Mike Hebert will explain that 6-2 offense to us a little bit better in our Home Depot coaches clinic coming up later in the match.
Lindsay Tejas, a lot of players that are goofy footers, it takes them years to fix it. Tejas did it in a week. Hebert said he told her once, she worked on it for a week, now she's doing it flawlessly, and it's helped tremendously having her as an offensive threat.
And Bowman setting up Nelson. 5 kills now for Meredith. She had 13 in the semis.
And that's a good sign. You saw her go off of one leg. She went off of her left leg. That's the bad ankle, so obviously not bothering her too much.
Tejas. And the block goes wide from Namani as Nelson has become the go-to hitter here in game 2. Overpass. There's Meredith to jump on it. Zheng Shu to Tejas. Now it's Bowman getting a swing in. Cross court, Erin Martin.
And Beth, the difference in these last couple of rallies, Oguna's getting her swings, but Minnesota is picking them up. Anytime you can touch an Oguna swing, you're in good shape. Great dig by Richards, starts it off, but Martin coming alive. Martin and Nelson, a great 1-2 punch right now for the Gophers.
And you talked about the balance early on in the match, Heather. 3 different players took a swing on that rally for Minnesota as they spread it all over the floor. And they are up right now in game 2, 6-5. After dropping the opener, 30-23 behind 8 kills from this woman right here, Ogunanamani. Erin Martin, the block goes wide. Point Minnesota. Martin goes out, a member of this terrific senior class for Minnesota that's gotten a #1 ranking, a Big Ten championship, their first trip to the national championship match. And 5 of the 6 seniors are from the Midwest. Bradford is from out here in Southern California.
And so while Minnesota in unfamiliar territory, they're doing it with a lot of experience on their roster. On the flip side, Stanford's got a lot of championship experience, but not players that are on the current team. John Dunning said that that experience makes a difference, so they have the confidence that they know the program's been here before. And he said, even though a lot of the players have never been here before, we know that we belong here.
And the Stanford family has really been helpful to these younger players. A lot of the alums still sticking around and staying in touch with these players to pass along the tradition and the pride of putting on that Stanford jersey. Several of the players that we talk to say they often run into former players from the last few years or share emails with former members of the Cardinal clan.
And you know, everybody here to support Stanford. The athletic department very close. And yes, there's the men's volleyball team making the trip down. Now coached by John Shaw, Kevin Hansen, the setter, Paul Baumhack, some great players. Stanford getting ready to start off the men's season. They play in the spring.
Of course, that's pretty much expected for all of the athletic teams at Stanford. You're gonna get a good education, you're gonna win.
Yeah, pretty much anything other than a national championship, a disappointing season.
This is Jen Huckey from Fallon, Nevada. Bowman blocked by Richards, but missed it wide. So Kelly Bowman with another kill, the sophomore from Maple Grove, Minnesota. Her 9 triple doubles led the NCAAs this year. And the service error gets a point for Stanford. They take the 10-9 lead here in game 2.
You see Kelly Bowman pulling her shirt out. She's calling the plays. She's like the quarterback of this team, signaling what offense they're running.
Bradford beats the block.
That set called a 4. It's a high outside set. In the 6-2 offense, Bowman and Tages have 3 hitters at all times. So she'll call 3 different plays each time they're receiving serve. So all 3 hitters know what offense they're running.
Bryn Kehoe to Francie Gerard. That's freshman to freshman right there. Gerard out of New York City and Brooklyn. Didn't really pick up volleyball seriously till she was in high school, and her coach was a former member of the Jamaican national team who saw the potential in Gerard. Jones with the tip. This is Zhenshu. Bowman looking to Aaron Martin.
Great offensive call. We talked about the 4 in the play prior to that. That's a high outside set. This is a 32. Watch how it drops inside. It's a lot faster. You try to beat the block to the ball as she cranks it inside. That's a great play call.
Another service error for Minnesota. Kehoe, quick set in the middle to Suter. Point Cardinal.
And Stanford's middle blocking duo doing a nice job in the second game. Suter and Gerard both getting more involved. 6 kills now from that middle blocker position for Stanford.
And that is a completely new middle block this year for the Cardinal. They had to replace both their starters from a year ago. As Minnesota bounces back to get the point.
And Minnesota definitely still winning in that middle blocker category, though. 10 kills combined now for Meredith Nelson and Jessie Jones.
Tages with the jump serve. Kehoe to Huckey. Misses wide, point for the Cardinal.
Talk about Stanford missing those 2 middle blockers, where you can see the dominance that they've had over the last 6 years, leading their conference in blocks. I mean, that is complete dominance defensively. Sarah McGee and Jen Harvey, the 2 middle blockers that Stanford lost to graduation. Suter and Gerard, one of many question marks for Stanford at the beginning of the year. And like I said, the coaching staff thought they'd be lucky to be above 500, had no idea until they had a few miracle wins in the middle of the Pac-10 season that they were as good as they are.
Namani with her 3rd kill of game 2. She had 8 in the opener. Float serve. Tages setting up Bowman for the kill. Well, Gunnar Namani has his sister on the team. There's NG Namani. both from Normal, Illinois. And she gives her sister a lot of credit for her improvement, not only as a player, but as a person.
And a prankster. She said, the team tells us that every day they get punked by NG Namani. And actually one of 3 sister combinations to play at Stanford, but the first time that 2 have played together at the same time. Of course, the Oden sisters and the Rush sisters, both Stanford alums.
Ogana gets the kill. She and her sister had what they used to call the Namani workouts. The whole family would work out together. Mom and Dad would get them going. So it started out when we were younger, you know, we'd walk around the block, and then we'd jog around the block. And after a while, we realized that we were working awfully hard. It's paid off. There's some of the Namani family over there.
Chika and Uzo, the parents. Also 2 brothers in attendance. All coming in from Normal, Illinois.
Very interesting in a sport where the West Coast teams have dominated. The 2 players of the year were both from either the Midwest or from Canada.
Stacey Gordon of Ohio State from Canada. I think that Canadian national team is going to be something special. Stacey Gordon, Sarah Pavin, the freshman stud from Nebraska.
Namani.
See ya.
Well, Tuesday night, it's the Champs Sports Bowl, 7:45 Eastern, 4:45 Pacific. The Syracuse Orange, the co-champions of the Big East, taking on Georgia Tech in the Champs Sports Bowl. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And one of the big questions, who will be running the pill for the Orange?
Oh, Damian Rhodes, Alter Reyes, a lot of running back options for them. And some big news for Q's alum on the athletic director news.
From USC, a former assistant athletic director with the Trojans, Daryl Gross, taking over as the new AD at Syracuse. Stanford is up by 2 here in game 2, and Courtney Schultz, the junior from Pacific Palisades, will serve. Aaron Martin got that one in down the line.
Martin has become much more consistent in the second game. Had a slow start in game 1, but now 7 kills, and she's doing it by mixing things up. There she's calling that blocking signal, letting her teammates know whether she's blocking line, which is a 1, or angle, which is that 2.
Martin got the block up, but it ricochets wide. Point for the Cardinal. Aaron Martin taking over for Cassie Boosie, who was their go-to player last year.
And they've gotten a lot of influence from Boosie even this year. Until about a week ago, Cassie practiced with them every single day until she just left to play overseas.
Doused at the net, falls on the Stanford side. Now Namani getting a swing, and that's rejected. Nelson almost started to celebrate a little too early.
The block really igniting Minnesota. Anytime you can score a point when Ogata is swinging, it's almost like scoring 2 points because you just get such a mental edge.
Huckey tried to swoop in, came up a bit short, and we're tied at 20. Timeout for Stanford. For the first time, a freshman center looking to win the national championship.
Stanford actually won a national championship with 2 setters, one of them being a freshman. Bryn Kehoe, the chance to become the first one running this 5-1 offense. Carrie Wendell and Lisa Sharpley won together in '94 when Sharpley was a freshman. But what's unique, I think, for Stanford is that all their national championships that they've won, they've had a freshman that's made a major impact. Carrie Wendell in '92, Lisa Sharpley in '94, Carrie Walsh in '96, and of course this year, or actually Ogana Namani when she was a freshman in '01.
We're tied at 21. Richards thought that had enough to make it over. Lisa Reinhart will serve, the senior from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Kehoe, Suter off the tape. It was Minnesota making the errors in game 1, and now Stanford, some unforced miscues here in game 2. Long way to go for Kehoe. Tough pass to handle. Free ball, Minnesota. Tages to Kelly Bowman.
Minnesota having tremendous success with that 6-2 offense. Their setter becomes a hitter, and they're running the X play, which is in the middle of the court. Stanford not defending it well.
And Minnesota jumps on top here in game 2. Timeout called by John Dunning. Georgia Tech with that fantastic backcourt.
Yeah, Jarrett Jackets. They're undefeated, 7-0 right now.
Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers on ESPN and ESPN2. For more info, log on to ESPN.com. Yeah, the ACC, unbelievable. 7 teams in the top 25, 5 of them in the top 10 in men's hoops.
Kind of like the Pac-10 and women's volleyball, 3 making it to the national semis.
Bradford with the kill. Ironically enough, Heather, the last time that happened, the one team that was not from the Pac-10 conference, John Dunning's UOP team, ended up winning the title back in 1985.
How about those Tigers? How about that Tiger knowledge out of Mowens? I like it. You know how to please me.
I went back in and read your bio.
It's still hard to see John Dunning with that red Stanford color on instead of the orange of Pacific, but we still love him.
He's loving Ogunanamani right now. 16 kills for the senior. Tejas sets up Bradford with a powerful pop. That one put a dent in the floor.
Bradford and Martin are heating up, and they're doing it by going sharp cross court. Stanford needs to adjust its block, move in, force Minnesota to go down the line.
Oh, and the response from Nomani.
You know what I love about Ogunna's game? Not only is she scoring a tremendous amount of points from kills in the front row, but look at the impact from the back row. She's hitting harder from the back row than most people do in the front row. And she's also scoring points when she's serving. She makes an impact on every rotation of the court.
She reminds me of a young Michael Jordan when she swoops through the air like that, almost makes it all the way to the net from the back row.
Like she could read the newspaper while she's up there. She's hanging forever.
There she is again.
You know, every coach I've talked to this week, the question is, how do you stop Ogunanamani? For the coaches that have gone up against her, it's interesting to see and hear the philosophy. Brian Gimalero, the head coach at Long Beach State, said, you don't even try, don't waste your time. It loses confidence. Your team has no confidence that they can get it done. And against Long Beach, Ogunna's freshman year, she hit 500 to go to that national championship for Stanford. And Brian Gimalero said, nobody's been able to find an answer for her, so don't waste your time.
Stanford goes back to Nomani late in a game when they need a big point. They get one there. Bryn Kehoe serving. Tough serve from Bryn. Aaron Martin missed it wide. Stanford ties it up. And a timeout called by Minnesota. Richards pops it up. Now Nomani. Jin Shu is there. They go back to Aaron Martin. Long run for Richards. Tracks it down. Free ball coming from Minnesota. The pass from Bradford. Bowman, Martin. Kehoe, the back set to Huckey. No block is up. Minnesota's defense rallies. Richards calls for it. The freshman, the back set again to Huckey, and again the block was not there.
Where is Minnesota's block? It's like everybody's keen on Ogunna, nobody respecting Jen Huckey on the right side, and that's when this team is good. When Huckey can provide some input, it really opens up things for Ogunna. Look at that, a wide open net. Minnesota has to get at least one up. Release 2 on Ogunna, keep 1 up on Huckey.
It's first to 30, must win by 2. Nelson rejected by Nomani, and it's game point for the Cardinal.
And that is the first block of this game for the Stanford Cardinal, finding a way to score points without its defense at the net.
Here we go, game point for the Cardinal. Nelson, Kehoe is there defensively, looking for Nomani for the game, and Stanford goes up 2-0. As we start game 3, a must-win game for Minnesota. They come out swinging with the first point. Minnesota in the white jersey, Stanford in the dark unis. And that's in for a point from the freshman, Francie Gerard.
It's funny, talking to Carrie Walsh before that intermission, she said, watching Stanford, I'm so nervous. I'm more nervous than I am when I'm playing. She said she's got butterflies in her belly, and she is so anxious for Stanford to get that 6th national title.
She was a member of their last national championship team in 2001. And Ogana Namani trying to bookend her championships as a freshman and as a senior. Actually, that was the Logan Tom team in 2001. Played across by Martin. Minnesota scrambling. Stanford goes to Namani, trying to tip it over the block and comes up short.
Hard to believe that's just the 2nd error for Namani. Hitting percentage continues to be crucial. 440 for Stanford, just 276 for Minnesota. I also think the blocking number, Stanford's led the Pac-10 in blocking the last 6 years, continues that trend tonight.
So much for finesse. She made the error on the tip, and she goes back to the big swing to get the kill.
Who needs it? You can hit over anybody in the country, Ogana. Just do it. Don't show us all your tricks. Just hit it hard.
I think she was inspired by that big hit from Bradford in that last game, and that got her going again as Minnesota gets the kind roll off the tape.
It's interesting offensively for Minnesota. They're getting the balance. Martin leads with 9, but right behind there, Tree Bradford with 8, Meredith Nelson with 8. The problem is they're not being efficient. They're not making the most of their swings and hitting a high percentage.
Kehoe goes to Lizzie Suter. All the Cardinals getting involved here. 5 kills now for Lizzie. And the freshman setter, Bryn Kehoe, leading the charge with the distribution. The back set to Bowman. And a violation on Stanford going into the net. Kehoe looks to Jen Hockey, pounds it down. For a complete wrap-up of the 2004 Fall NCAA Championships, including men's and women's soccer and men's water polo, visit ncaasports.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. I don't want to take away the surprise, but if you do look on that ncaasports.com, you would find that UCLA won the men's water polo, and both of the men's and women's soccer went to PKs this year, with the Indiana men winning and the Notre Dame women winning. We'll take a look at some. Those are just a sprinkling of the 22 fall championships under the NCAA this fall. Congratulations to the most recent football titleist, James Madison, last night, and Linfield earlier today, winning their first ever national championships. That's what Minnesota is trying to do here in Long Beach, but they are really up against it with a hot Stanford team.
Well, and you see the support that Kristen Richards now providing. Richards was miffed that she didn't get on the All-American team. She said, she didn't say it outright, but she was visibly frustrated and has a lot to prove and feels like she deserved to be on that squad, and rightfully so, I think.
And I bet any of the All-Americans would gladly change that honor for a championship ring, which Richards is in line for right now. And a Minnesota player injured on that last play was Paula Zhenshu, who stays down. Just trying to keep her calm over there on the bench as they work on the back of Paula Zhenshu. Look at the numbers she's put up, a new NCAA single season digs record. Her career number's 3rd all-time. Next year, she would be in line to set a new all-time digs record. And Stanford gets the point. Bryn Kehoe, as Minnesota goes without a libero right now.
And actually, I'm just watching Jen Bowman putting on the different colored jersey. She is the sister to the setter, Kelly Bowman, now putting on that dark jersey to become the libero for Minnesota.
And Erin Martin with the kill.
She goes quick uniform change, and she'll go right out onto the floor. There she goes. first appearance in the national championships for Minnesota.
So both the Bowmans out there together now for Minnesota, her first touch.
And this is tough, Beth. She's been standing on the sidelines, really coaching, working on strategies, changes her uniform, and then boom, into serve. Now playing with her sister. There's great chemistry on the floor when these two are out there, and Jen known as a great leader for this team.
Teammates call her grandma. She's always out there making sure everything's in order, everybody's in line, doing what they have to do.
And one more point, I think Mike Hebert needs to call a timeout. Settle this team down. Stanford just attacking the new player on the court, Bowman, which is a smart thing to do.
Kehoe took it out of the net to get it to Namani. Boy, the freshman has been so impressive in her first national championship game appearance.
She just has ice running through her veins. I think Mike Hebert had hoped that the freshman would be a little bit more jittery to start out this match.
Minnesota gets a point to go up 10-9, and now Tejas will serve. The service error is number 8 in the match for Minnesota.
And I really think this is a team that needs a timeout. They lost their emotional leader in Zhen Shu. I think Hebert needs to slow things down and take some time to talk about it. That time a back row attack by Tejas, and you just can't let them score in bunches here.
We are in Long Beach, California for the NCAA Division I Women's Volleyball National Championship. Beth Mowins along with Heather Cox as the Stanford Cardinal go for their 6th national title. The Minnesota Golden Gophers looking for the first in their program's history. Stanford has taken games 1 and 2, and they can close out the match here in the 3rd. And there is the timeout. And Paula Zhenshu still over there on the bench after the injury for Minnesota.
During that last timeout, she's asking her trainer, please let me go back in. You see what Stanford's done with her on the bench. 7-2 run without Zhen Shu, and Zhen Shu obviously in a lot of pain, but also very frustrated. Continues to say, please, I want to play, and the training staff telling her she's probably not going to return.
In her stead, Jen Bowman put on the Libero uniform. She's out there right now, but it's been a run for the Cardinals since Zhen Shu went out. It is now 8-2 run since the injury.
Paula Zhen Shu with 15 digs early in this match. She ran into Ogana Namani yesterday in the elevator, and Ogana said, I'm not going to hit it to you. And Paula said, please, come on, let's go back at it, you and me.
Richards dug up. There's a nice play by Bowman. And then off the tape for Bradford.
What a great night Bradford's had, now into double digits with 10 kills. It starts with the dig, and Bowman now in as that libero for Paula Zhen Shu. This is the senior, the sister, the starting setter, and really a great emotional leader for this team.
Kelly Bowman to Bradford, blocked by Suter. Peñato looks back to Tree. Through the block for the kill. 10 now for Bradford, ties it at 13. Playing right now without their emotional leader and perhaps the best defensive player in the country, out with the injury. Stanford gets the point to take the lead back. Zhen Shu desperately wants to return to the match. The training staff still working on her back and her shoulder. Lea'i Hall, the senior from Haiku, Hawaii, serves it up. Played back over by Hall. Now Bradford again, number 11.
Boy, she just gets better as this match progresses. If they can figure out a way to win this game and take it into 4 or 5, Bradford and Martin are the type of outside hitters that just get better and better as the match progresses.
Kehoe, the back set. Huckey swooping in for the kill.
John Dunning before this match said the big question mark, what will Jen Huckey do with that sore shoulder, and how much heat can Kristen Richards provide? So far, both of them have been excellent, taking a lot of pressure off of Ogana Namani.
Namani has been spectacular, but the rest of the Cardinal have come to play today, and the freshman Bryn Keogh with another block.
This is a player who has grown up around volleyball. In fact, joked that there was one in her crib. Both of her parents, volleyball players. Her mom, a two-time All-American at Western Michigan. Her dad, Steve, played at Ball State. And it shows. She does not play like a freshman.
Jessie Jones. And Stanford player got into the net, so a point for Minnesota. The Golden Gophers need game 3 to extend this match. Reinhardt. Kehoe had to take that one out of the net. Richards is rejected. The freshman Jones from Naperville, Illinois. Played in just 27 games all season.
Kehoe, a back row player, had to set that ball instead of attack, and Jones, a great defender at the net.
Kehoe picks up a drive in the middle. Here comes Minnesota. Aaron Martin. Point Stanford.
Coaching staff starting to think it's Martin time. That's what they say when they need Martin to start producing. And even in timeouts and huddles, they'll just say, hey guys, it's Martin time, and everybody knows what that means.
Jones, Richards. Opportunity here. Let's see if they go to Martin. They do. Aaron with a swing. Kehoe got a piece of it. Jones on the overpass puts it away.
Jones came to Minnesota as what Coach Hebert calls a freelance blocker. Since then, she's learned to be much more disciplined. Gone through surgery on both her knee and her shoulder, starting in just her second career match.
Another service error for Minnesota. That's number 9.
Jen Shu trying to get it together. She knows she can be a vocal leader at least from the bench.
Tejas makes the play. Now Lindsay on the jump serve. Kehoe to Namani, who's back in front, and they go to her right away.
Ogana Namani, after a USC match, and you can see the type of impact she's made in championship finals, just incredible. But it's also about the mental aspect, the emotional leader that she's been. She gave the team a speech after their loss to USC. She said, when I started with the national team, I was so nervous. Every rep I took, I was nervous. I didn't believe it. I played with fear. She said, you can't play with fear, and they haven't done it since then.
If Stanford wins game 3, they win their 6th national championship. Game is to 30, must win by 2. Tejas to Bowman, big swing. Good defense by Courtney Schultz. Tejas to Meredith Nelson. Jen Huckey blocked by Martin. Huckey will set Namani. And Martin's pass goes into press row. Kehoe. Nelson tips it over the top. Another chance here for Stanford. They go to Namani again.
Boy, Minnesota has to score on first contact. They're giving Stanford way too many opportunities to set Ogana Namani. Right now, she's proving unstoppable. Look at that, hitting .545, which means you take the amount of kills, subtract just those 2 errors, which is easy to do, and then you want to divide it by total attempts. I mean, you see a line like this, and this is truly impressive. So you divide that 24 by 44 to come up with that .545 hitting percentage.
Just the 2 errors with all the attempts that she has, remarkable. Knowing that there's going to be 2 or 3 blockers on the other side every time. Here she goes again and gets another one.
And she's mixing it up, Beth. She went cross-court sharp the last 2 times. This time hits across her body, and she's just toying with Minnesota's defense right now.
We're watching one of the best performances here in NCAA volleyball championship history. Ogana Namani the co-national player of the year and 4-time All-America. Leading the way for the Cardinals, she was a part of that 3-game sweep in the 2001 championship over Long Beach. Nelson misses long. We're going to check to see if there was a touch. Nope.
And right now it looks like Minnesota's starting to feel desperate. They're starting to try and manufacture some emotion. They need to just buckle down, execute. It starts with a pass.
Pages to Bowman. Didn't make it across. 4 points for the match. A 21-11 run for the Cardinals since Zhenshu went out with the injury. Bradford. Stanford's defense getting to everything right now. Namani dug up. And another Minnesota error. 20 hitting errors today for the Golden Gophers. Picks up Nelson. Net violation by Stanford. Point for Minnesota.
And right now it's all about execution, playing perfect volleyball. You've got to serve well, allow your block to score points. Serve tough enough that they can't serve Namani and go to her in back row. Not even giving yourself a chance right now, and this is when it gets so frustrating as a player.
2 points to the match for Stanford. Leai Hall serving. Bradford for Minnesota.
Most teams would think this is a good point scoring opportunity because Namani in the back row, but she's proven today to be just as effective, and that's back-to-back service errors for Minnesota.
National championship point for the Stanford Cardinal. Hockey with a terrific serve, and it's going to be a free ball for the Cardinal. Kehoe. Kristen Richards blocked. Kept alive. Back row. Namani. Game over. Match over. The Stanford Cardinal are the 2004 national champions.